Okay, so I'm Jesse Balanick and I'd like to show you my learning object. So by opening up the iBook, you'll see a brief intro screen. Following the intro screen, you'll see the table of contents. The table of contents is actually clickable. So if we touch image credits, it takes us to the last page. However, we'll start with the very first page, which shows the learning objectives for the unit. The last one is the key learning objective, and it ties to the summative assessment, that the students be able to write a 150-word summary of a line graph in 20 minutes or less. So, on each page I've included the instructions for the students in text forms. In this case, the students are to look at the line graphs in this gallery widget, then listen to the radio program, take notes, and on the next page decide which line graph is correct. So students can swipe through the images here. If they pinch, they can actually open them up to full screen, which allows them to look at it more closely. Then they press the play button on the listening one to hear the audio. So it shows that the audio is actually embedded in the book, and then the students use their notes to choose which graph they feel is correct. Once they choose the one they feel is correct, they can check their own answer, so it's machine graded, and if it's not right, they can try again. And then we have a similar task, except instead of audio-based information, oral information, this is text information. I have two different descriptions of average temperatures in two different cities. So the first line graph was a single line graph. This one is going to be a double line graph. The students read the two descriptions and then they choose between 4 line graphs, each with 2 lines. Again, they can check their answer, and if it's incorrect, they can try again. Next, I have an interactive image where the students see a line graph and they can tap on the various labels to get more information about this. So they can explore this line graph non-linearly, and they can return to each part as many times as they want till they feel confident that they understand the components of a line graph. When they feel they do understand the components of a line graph, move to the next page, and they're able to drag and drop the labels to the correct places and then check their answers. So I'll just quickly label this here and press check answer, and we'll see which ones are correct. Then I want to build their declarative knowledge, some vocabulary they'll need to use to describe line graphs. I built in flashcards, so they're traditional flashcards. On the front is the term, and on the back is a description of the term and an image that reinforces it. There's 2 modes. There's study mode, where they just look at the cards, and practice mode, which allows them to sort of guess themselves and then self-check. If they get it right, they can touch the right button, and if they get it wrong, they touch the wrong button. Okay, there's a timer here that shows them how long they've been studying. When they feel they know these terms, they can play a quick memory game. It's built right in, where they match the term to the visual description of it. So increase slowly goes with this one, and when it's correct, they change to the same color. So here we have decreased rapidly in this image. They match. Decrease slowly would be this one, and remain steady, and so on. So they can test themselves here. When they feel they really know, they can use this quiz widget to as a formative self-test. It's machine graded. They match the terms to, and I'm just guessing randomly here, and when they feel they've done that, they can move on to the next page where they use these terms to complete a line graph to describe a simple line. When they're finished, they check their answers, and it shows them their score out of 11 and which ones they've got right for the matching exercise appear in green, the ones they got wrong appear in red, and when they're wrong, the dotted line shows the correct answer. In the second activity, it simply shows them the completed text with the correct answers. And moving on, there's a video of a line graph, of a video lesson of me describing how to analyze a line graph. So I used the tool that allowed me to annotate a line graph. I used the video pointer and also various annotations. So this helps the students to understand how to analyze a line graph, where their eyes should move when looking at a line graph to gather the information they need quickly and efficiently. After learning that, it's followed up with an analysis task where they have to use the information they gained to answer these questions. What information is shown by this line graph, for example, and they'll type their answers in the place here. When I check the answers, it will show a model answer. In this case, the answer is the average monthly temperatures in Ottawa and Abu Dhabi. It explains how you find the answer and also provides a visual prompt to where the students should be looking in order to gather that information. So this is both formative assessment and review and revision. Again, now the students look at a well-formed model summary of a paragraph and they analyze it by looking at each sentence and writing what they think is the purpose. And here we already have the answers shown. So when they check their answers, this is what they'll see, a model answer. All right, now what they'll need to do is rearrange, look at a different line graph and reorder provided sentences into the correct sequence. This one includes the Show Hint button in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. When they tap Show Hint, it reminds them what they've just learned, which allows them to better complete the task. So the formative assessments are also teaching opportunities in this learning object. Again, another video-based mini lesson, cognitive modeling. So what I've done here is I highlighted various parts of the sentence, the line graph with my laser pointer, and then actually written out the so the students are able to understand the process they must go through in order to write each of the 4 types of sentences they need to be able to write to complete a line graph summary. And again, we have a followed up by a formative assessment where they look at line graphs and decide, and with the example sentence, and decide what type of sentence this is. So this is an evaluation and analysis task. They're discriminating between different types of sentences. So in this case, the average high temperature reaches a peak of approximately 40 degrees Celsius in August. Well, I could tell that's a specific information sentence. When I check my answers, it will show the correct answer in green, or if I had gotten it incorrect in red, along with a rationale. So the sentence gives a specific fact. And then now the students have to write sentences. So we're breaking down the final summative task into its component pieces and increasing in complexity. So they start, for each one of these line graphs, they have to write several sentences. They're going from simplest, at visitors to Dubai, to most complex, with the annual chicken and beef consumption in the US. So this builds up their skills, starting with a simple single line graph. What they need to do is write the topic sentence, and in each stage, so they write the 4 different types of sentences, and a hint is included here if they get stuck. So they write the topic sentence, trend sentence, and again the hint is going to help them to prompt them, and that's included in all 3 of these line graph individual sentence writing exercises, moving from simple to more complex. Okay. Then they look at the original model line graph one more time, and hopefully with fresh perspective, having learned about the different types of sentences and the correct sequence of the sentences. Now they're moving on to the summative task. Here's the instructions very clearly on this on the page. I've also embedded a rubric, so they can see where they're what they should be doing, and this I can use as an assessment to provide feedback after the fact. This is based on the public Task 1 writing van descriptors of the IELTS exam, so it's linked directly to this external test that they have to take, and what this learning object is developing the skills for. Then the final summative task is a timed task, timed writing task, and when I tap the stopwatch icon, it opens up with the must allow one of my students to complete this. So I'm gonna that's the alright, I'm gonna reset it here, clear my answers. Alright, so now you see in the upper right hand corner of the screen a timer that's running down. You see a line graph and the instructions very clearly written, and if I scroll down slightly, there's a text box. So the students actually write their summary here. Etc. When they're finished, or when the timer runs out, they will not be able to add any more information. But if they finish before the timer runs out, they press the little mail icon, they enter their name and their email address and press send. And that sends an email to my inbox. So sending it to my inbox directly. Now, if they've entered their email address correctly in that form, I'll be able to reply to their email direct to give them feedback, and they'll receive that reply directly in their inbox. So once this task is finished, as the last activity, I asked them to do a brief summary. It has a twofold purpose. One is to facilitate reflection. The first task is for them to read the learning objectives again and self-assess how well they feel they've been able to achieve these learning objectives now, the end of the unit. Then the second part is an evaluation of the learning objective itself. And this is supposed to aid in the teacher and the designer to create future iterations, and to also understand the student perception of the material. And then it ends with my image credits in APA format. Thank you very much for watching this video. I really enjoyed the course.